Hello, in this video I'm going to teach you the rules for playing the game Nul. So I start with a normal deck of cards and deal out the whole deck. This game works for anywhere between 2 and 4 players. You deal out all of the cards to each player, and then I've taken a hand of 5 cards each from the top of each pile. Move that down here. So you can see here that I've got 3 players' hands laid out. The remaining cards are their draw pile. And I'm going to call these players A, B, and C. So the aim of the game is to create combinations of cards that add up to 0. Nul is 0 in French, and it's also, in English we call that the null set. So one way of thinking about this is that the cards represent positive and negative values. All of the red cards in your hand are negative values. So you can think of this as -8, and this ace would be a -1. And then the black cards in your hand are going to count as positive values. So there's positive 1s, and this would be a positive 13. King is 13, Queen is 12, Jack is 11. And if you need to jot that down somewhere in order to keep track of that, it's not a bad idea. So, Jack, Queen, King, 11, 12, 13. Okay. So the reason that for this particular game I chose the coloring the way that I did is based on ledgers and the way that accountants would record values in the books when they were keeping track of people's debts and credits. There's an expression of being in the black, which means that your ledger book has more black ink in it than red ink, meaning you have more money coming into your business than going out. In other words, you're profitable. If your business is in the red, then it means that your expenses outstrip your profit or the money coming in, which means that you are in debt. So that's why the red cards are negatives and the black cards are positives. Okay, so if this was my first hand, if I'm playing this hand, I look at the combination of cards that I've got here, and I can see that I've got a positive and a -1. Those 2 cards together are a null pair. They're a 0 pair. Together, they would be equal to a value of 0. So I'm going to put those down. They're being discarded or played down on the table. And now I've got 3 left in my hand. So I have to pick up 2 from my draw pile just to complete my hand again, and then I wait for my next turn. And now I'm this player, and I see that I could play -2 and +2. That would get rid of 2 cards. However, the goal is to get through this draw pile as fast as possible, so I want to be the first person out. So I can also see that I have a -7 here, which would cancel with both of these 2 positive cards. So I've got +7 with the 5 and the 2, and I've got -7 with the red 7. So that's discarded. Now I've only got 2 in my hand. Pick up 3 to complete my hand again. Okay, so that's there. I'll wait for my next turn. Let me see here. So while those other players are playing, this player would be looking at their hand and figuring out different combinations, different sums, to see if there's anything that adds up to 0. I see -13. I see a -7. This would be a -8. I don't see any zeros, but I do see that if I put -13 and +14, that's a +1. So for this hand, that's as close as I can get to 0, is a +1. So I'm going to have to record on my little score sheet here that I have a +1 here. That's not a good thing. I want to end the game as close to 0 or at 0 if possible. but it's not bad. Okay, so I'm going to pick up 4. I'm taking a bit of a gamble there that I'll be able to get something in here that will be helpful. Okay, I'm back to this hand. Let's see, what have I got that I could cancel out here? Well, I think this is my best bet. So I've got -8 and +7. Difference between those two is -1. I don't think I can get closer to 0 than that. Pick up 2. Okay. Let's see this hand here. Well, that's an easy one. I'm going to actually just take this. These two are positive and -6. Discard. Put that down. And let's see this one now. I've got +12 and -11, so that's a +1 again. So the combined result of the last 2 plays that this third player has made is now that person's score is +2. So thinking ahead to my next move, I might try and find a combination that adds up to -2 so that I can cancel that out in the end. Okay, so here's my 2 cards to complete my hand. All right, back to here. Okay, so I've got 13, +13 and -11. So that's +2. So this player right now, their total score is +1. So even though the combined, you can see that these ones were one apart, and then the second play that that person made, there were 2 apart. The combined score is actually less than that of player C because they've got both positive and negative values there. Okay, back to 5. I think I'm going to get rid of these. All right, that score is +1 for player B. Complete the hand. Oof, that was lucky. There's a 0. Oof, that's a lot of positive points. Let's see, what should we do? Right now my total's at +1 for this player. This total is -2. So now I'm at -1 total for that player. And you get the idea. So in the end, when everyone has played out all of their cards, you add up what's left remaining. So I would, on the next hand, probably for this person, I would play that 0 down like that, and then their combined total score of what's left in their hand gets recorded, and whoever ends up with the score closest to 0 wins the game.